Well, to politics now. Both presidential candidates will likely face questions about the recent police shootings when they go head-to-head Monday night at the first presidential debate. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump will appear on the same stage together in what could possibly be the most watched debate ever. And some analysts expect the total viewership could actually top 100 million Americans. That's impressive. And with me now on set to discuss it all, CBSN political contributor and Democratic strategist Liz Smith, as well as CBSN political contributor and Republican strategist Leslie Sanchez. Okay, Liz, let's start with you. I want to ask you, Friday, we were told by the Clinton campaign that she was going to actually head out to Charlotte, where this police shooting took place. What do you think? How could this have helped the Clinton campaign, her being in Charlotte before the debates?
Well, the last I saw is that they postponed it for another week so that they don't divert resources.
The city officials had asked her not to come. They said it was not a good time, don't come.
Right. Well, look, I think one of the big criticisms of her campaign has been that she hasn't elevated any big issues recently. She's been so focused on attacking Donald Trump. And I think this provides her a moment to really talk about a big issue that concerns the country and that, you know, a lot of people in the Obama coalition are concerned about, and that's criminal justice reform. And I think with, you know, the shooting in Tulsa, the shooting in Charlotte, and these great tragedies, it does provide her the opportunity to lift up the policing reforms and to talk about something that is of critical importance. So it could be a moment for her, and I think, you know, she's someone who can talk with a lot more authority on these issues than Donald Trump can.
Leslie, Clinton actually weighed in, and they're saying that she wants the video released of the police footage, and the police are saying we're not going to do that just yet. Is she stepping on the toes of law enforcement by saying something like this?
Definitely politicizes whatever side of this issue that you remain on. There is no way you can deny it politicizes the event. Whether you compare it to Donald Trump going to Orlando and talking about the shootings there, the interesting juxtaposition. There have been a series of these tragic events that have happened. These candidates, in some cases, like Donald Trump, have responded, have tweeted, have attended events. In other cases, they have fallen silent, like Hillary Clinton. But I think anybody who tries to come in and grandstand at the last 40-plus days of a presidential election, it's inauthentic. It doesn't ring true. And if anything, it looks like you're really trying to politicize something that's very heartfelt and very serious.
Yeah, but, you know, this is the thing, is that local officials have called for the release of the video. The North Carolina Attorney General has called for the release of the video.
And the family wants it released.
Right, and the family wants it released. And for the sake of transparency, I don't see any reason why people wouldn't want the video released. So I don't really see her as politicizing it. And I get your point about sometimes it seems like politicians are grandstanding, but this is a major issue, and this is a major issue that the next president will have to deal with. This is something that President Obama has tried to deal with. So I think that her visiting Charlotte would be appropriate.
President Obama is a perfect example, coming out at the issue that you had with the professor at Harvard being stopped and accused of racial profiling, and he immediately made a strong statement that was against law enforcement, and then later had to come back, do a mea culpa, and have a beer fest, you know, beer gate at the White House. These politicians who step in too soon without a full, thorough understanding jeopardize the ability to have fair and impartiality to a really critical issue. If you want to do something, raise the issue at the debate.
Okay, I want to move on. I want to ask you guys about. We want to get a lot to get to. Speaking of politicizing, and Donald Trump has actually talked about stop and frisk. It's a new policy that he wants to use. Very controversial. It was used here in New York. They ended up doing away with it because overwhelmingly African Americans were the ones who were picked up. It was used in Chicago. 250,000 people were picked up, all of them black. Is this a way to really reach out to African-American voters, Leslie?
Absolutely not. I mean, I think we're consistent. We're going to agree on that one. It's not, and it's not just African-American, it's Latino. There are numerous cases where it accelerates the wrong end of this spectrum. That isn't really, it's a cause kind of issue. The cause is that there's not a clear communication, there's poor training, there needs to be a better understanding of these issues, and really a serious look at what to do to solve these crises. But instituting something like that just have a larger and a more negative effect on communities of color.
Yeah, and it goes back to why I was saying, you know, he has no credibility on these issues. If you look at in New York, since they've reduced the use of stop and frisk, now it went from close to 700,000 stop and frisks a year at its height, now 20,000. Violent crime has only gone down. So it wasn't even an effective tactic, and all it did was broke down police and community relations.
I want to ask you guys about the debates. Liz, What does Hillary Clinton need to watch out for when it comes to this debate? What's her biggest liability?
I think, she's got to deal with the questions about her trust and her personal ethics and not be so defensive.
How does that come out during a debate, though? How do you deal with trust and likability at a debate?
So when she's asked about her emails, when she was asked about it by Matt Lauer, she got very defensive. And I think she struggled with answering that question. If she's asked about the foundation, I think she needs to be able to answer these questions without, getting her back up. And I think that's her biggest issue. Look, she knows the issues. She will nail, any test of her knowledge of the issues. It's more a question of, can she come across and convey to the American people that she's someone they can trust.
We've also learned her longtime advisor, Philippe Reines, has been playing Donald Trump.
Yes.
I imagine he would be pretty tough.
Yeah, well, I think it makes a lot of sense. Everyone was saying, oh, you need to get this big actor or this bombastic politician. I've done debate prep for presidential candidates and for candidates all up and down the ticket, and it's really important, I think, to have someone that the candidate trusts and someone who can really go at them in a way that someone who doesn't know them that well can.
What's Donald Trump's biggest liability going into the debates?
Can he be measured and controlled in his responses? He is very known for being authentic, which is what the limited likability he has. That it comes from that. People like the no-nonsense style, so they're willing to give him a pass. To much extent, including in these debates, they expect him to have some cogent ideas in terms of how he's going to handle these problems. But when he goes off the cuff, and when people expect him to go mano a mano with Hillary Clinton, I think that's what's different. You didn't see that with Mitt Romney. They want a confrontation, which is why 100 million people are expected to watch. But it's going to be this comparison and contrast. Does he look measured? Is it going to be an amplification of some of the criticisms that she's put forward, that he's off the rails and not stable? He has to really look like a measured commander-in-chief.
Ted Cruz, your favorite state, Texas.
Yes,
there.
Definitely.
Is his endorsement of Donald Trump going to make a difference?
It makes a difference among conservative chatter. It is definitely, he is still very much an influencer among the conservative movement and the Tea Party movement. It's good. And basically he's saying, let's get behind. If Ted Cruz will do it, a lot of the party people were already there. They're willing to jump in line. And Republicans traditionally get in line. It's significant for that reason, but he's also doing it politically to save himself in Texas.
Look, I think everything Ted Cruz does is about Ted Cruz, but I do think it's symbolic of that the Republicans are coming home. And the Republican establishment is gravitating and lining up behind Donald Trump, and there were concerns about that. So it's a good sign for Donald Trump overall.
All right, ladies, Liz and Leslie, thank you. You're going to be with us all weekend and through the debate night. So we look forward to it.
Looking forward to it.